Now that the recording's in progress, we'd like to call the work session to order for the new town board of April 10th. First on business resolution and motion, moving from top to bottom. The first in the packet was the approving the justice court audit. Who will take that?
I don't think you can read it by auditor, can I?
There might be a conflict of interest, so JD, okay. Thank you. Having solved that problem, we'll move to the next motion in the package. Packet was town hall needs repairs and then selecting the door repair and the sprinkler system repair. Who will address that one?
I got that.
All right, JJ. Right in keeping with your portfolio for the building. Next item of business. Oh yeah, the refuse collection, the modern disposal, the purchase of the totes of the 65-gallon variety. Patty, how are you?
I can't, I don't have it.
Oh, you don't have it. What an inconvenience.
Sorry.
I read it, but I don't want to contradict. That's a problem.
I got it.
Okay, JD.
Because you were on that.
Yeah, I don't want any conflicts of interest there. And then, JDA, would you do the AD units purchase?
Sure,
All right, good man.
he's just gonna post is what you're saying.
No, if I'm close to.
As long as it's gonna be in your seat before we get up there, you're gonna just sit there and let us read everything. I see how it's playing out. All right, got it.
I won't be in the seat when they're all wet. You know that.
I know,
I will not be in the seat.
but how do you play without reading the resolution is what I wanna know.
That's right. I didn't even catch that.
Because it makes seniority. Sorry, Doc, take a break. You've done enough work over the last.
Peace, don't go down that road, is that? All right, having done that, we go to, the motions that we're going to make. Pretty much, left blank because we're going to do them, in the preceding after we, call to order, we'll do the motions then. That's to readjust the power balance here. Planning, comments on planning? Ooh, it's left blank for right now. I'm sure it's going to be picking up. The planning has been effectuated, I think, from the email that they've started doing the rehabilitation for the water project.
Oh, for water, yes, so, when we get to water,
Okay,
we do, but go ahead.
no,
It's fine.
Yes, that's good. That's good news. Moving from 2 to 3, we've got the water. Comments on that?
Yes, so DJM is out there. They were out there starting late last week. Today, they were milling and paving. So we were out there the whole time while they were paving to make sure they're putting down the right amount of top and everything like that. So,
It's those Wendell engineers checking things, right?
yep, gotta make sure the paving, especially when we're at these kind of in between temperatures, but we're lucky with the weather today. They'll continue paving tomorrow. If we start to really get dried out this week, they to then start getting into the topsoil seeding kind of areas of restoration. So hopefully we'll be able to.
They
close
might
this
be
up.
finished by May 31st.
Well, they need to be finished by May 14th.
Oh, May 14th,
Yeah, so
a month before Flag Day.
I guess so.
Good. Buildings, anything else? Oh, sewer. We did pay the bills, or after tonight, the bills will be paid, I think, for the sewage. I think, JJ, did you see some for the different sewer districts? No, I guess not.
Yes, you did.
Okay, so tonight they'll be
They're on the
paid.
bills, yeah.
Good.
We never addressed this way. This was,
No, we're not gonna address them. We just want to
Okay,
make
yeah.
sure the sewage keeps going out.
I'm pretty sure it is.
If we can just go back to planning for a moment, since we got through that one very fast. Julie gave me and Mike a statement regarding some proposed code amendments from the planning board regarding the Route 5 and C2 overlay zone. So we'll review what they're thinking and we'll talk about it at the next work session.
which will be a week from tonight, which is the regular 2 hour plus work session.
That depends how long everybody likes to talk.
Doesn't it always? Well, that's a good, so they've arrived at some suggestions that they want to have the town board entertain concerning the,
More so they have some concerns about what it says and they have some thoughts, so we'll put together.
so there might be some present contradictions they're alleging.
No.
No, they just want to massage the 500 foot distance, among other things.
Want it to be massage.
Massage them. Okay, good. Anything else? Oh, we eagerly look forward to that. I think we did 3, we moved to buildings, library roof. It's
Yeah.
still holding in.
No, it's fixed.
Excellent.
Right.
I went through the proper channels, Emily.
Who fixed it? Newpoint?
No, Dean Hobbs. I don't even know the name of his company, but he'll invoice us, so when it's done. So we had an issue there with the rain. If you remember last work session, I said, geez, it's been pretty good, and the next day, it's raining. So I shot back the water out of the carpet. I called him up, he happened to be coming to the village that day, so he went up and looked at it, and we went up and found the leaks. The majority of the leaks were damaged from the ice coming off the roof. There were some leaks that were hard to find, but there were some that were actually probably from years, but if they were so small, it takes a while to get to the insulation from people just throwing stuff on the roof. You know, in the alleyway, across the way, whatever, wherever it comes from, the sky. And then the other one, we had some minor ones from when we had to clean up on the roof. When we had to clean all that stuff off of there.
So this fellow, Dean, was quite confident that they identified the leaking site.
Oh, yeah, we were up there. I found them before I even got there, that some are pretty noticeable from the ice damage. And, so when you get a downpour, it really shows up. If you get a slight steady rain or a light rain, it's really not gonna show up. But he repaired it. I went through Dawn. And, I think what we should seriously think about is putting a bid out for a yearly maintenance check on the roofs. On the flat roofs anyways, which
Mhm.
talking with Dawn, she thinks we should have this one looked at and. Cause they're finding some small leaks now also, right? On these new ones, a couple new ones.
Yes, and actually, you didn't tell me his name before. He's done work for us before.
Probably through Brad,
Yeah,
right?
he fixed our leaks here
Okay,
several years ago.
Satisfactorily then, they
Yeah.
hold for
Mhm.
amazing, the
So-
find leaks.
Yeah.
yeah, and Mike, are there any flat roofs? At the joint facility, are the offices flat, are they peaked or? They're okay. So I think the only 2 buildings would be the library and the town office. He says the roof, one major thing, the roof is in excellent condition. He says, do not replace this roof, it's fine. It just has to be, you gotta annually check it.
And his company would be able to be interested in doing that. So if we put out a bid, you need 3 bids for that because the potential.
Well, we'll get a price, we'll get a price from him to see where we're at money wise, and then from there we'll decide what we have to do with that quoting, right?
Right, does the Denio have a flat roof?
No, I think it's got shingles on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's pitched.
Yeah, but in the attic, yeah, it's pitched, yeah.
Okay, terrific.
Was it right upstairs? Yeah, it's pitched.
Good thing this year it's nice.
What else is on there?
So Dean Hobbs is the name of the fellow, but that's not the name of the company that's doing
He might run, I don't know if he runs under a DBA or not,
Last time he did work for us, it was just been his name.
okay.
it, the Hobbs.
Yeah.
Good. Town parking lot, that was when Mike and Scott were going to have a visit, one with the other or something.
Yep, so we went and walked the parking lot this evening. I think you guys, or at least I remember hearing you're worried about the drainage or wanting to talk about drainage before you just go ahead and pave it, and I would tend to agree with you there. There's only one drainage structure in the whole parking lot. And it doesn't, in my mind, seem to be in exactly the right place to even do a whole lot. You see a lot of the water going, just shedding off to various places on the lawn and things like that, and you can see where sediment is depositing and where you see some wet areas. So it really isn't draining particularly well. The other thing is that one DI that does exist there, there's a pipe that leaves it going kind of towards the west, and we couldn't find where it actually outlets.
Isn't there a
There's a
north-south
swale.
ditch?
There's a
Okay,
swale,
and-
ditch, whatever.
and-
There's both a ditch behind here and then also one on the side. We could not find where that pipe would exit
Exit.
to that ditch, so. I have to think about it a little bit more, but also would love to hear from you guys of what you're thinking or what your thoughts are. You know, we could obviously look at grants for something like this. Just, I'd like to hear from yourselves of what you might want to do.
Well, for me, I think, the drain, if we are gonna if we do put in the parking lot, it has to be addressed the drainage. I think also probably a little bit of elevation, don't you think?
It's very flat.
Yeah.
You would want to have it, if you were gonna do real paving, you'd probably try to find a way to make a depressed center on, center area to kind of convey the flow to then drainage structures that you have or things like that. The other thing, oh, go ahead.
I'm just wondering where you anticipate draining it to, the north to west section of the parking lot?
Well, that's where it gets tricky too, because you're gonna displace that water somewhere else, right? Is that will it ditch handle up towards Pixley? Where's that run towards Pixley's, Mike?
Yeah, it goes down, there's actually two ditches that run. One right across from Strippers parking lot, and then there's a little bit of a swale that goes into that, and then it goes by Pixley's ditch and runs all the way back over to.
Well, here's the interesting thought as well, and again, I have to think about this and I have to do some more research, but one other potential option would be. They have grant programs called the Green Infrastructure Grant Program, where if you're doing something above and beyond what's required. So because this is already an existing parking lot, you guys really don't have to do any kind of stormwater treatment for it. So if you did anything as a betterment to kind of make stormwater better, we could put like a bioretention area out back, some kind of constructed bio area, which might be, get us kind of be a bit
Give us some funds.
get you the funds and then also not add to, because again, sometimes you drain things better.
Yeah.
You're starting to get more flow to go to an area, which then Mike and I went to look at that on Hake Road,
I
so.
think you are gonna have to really think about this stuff, because that stuff comes from Strippers landfill. So it runs all back behind Strip it. And their landfill leaches in that, they gotta check that, the DEC checks that. But. So if we went if you were to go with a bio pond, we really wouldn't need to ditch that except for to overflow with the bio pond.
Yeah, so if, the smaller storms, you wouldn't have, you get basically all of it would just infiltrate and then get picked up by the plants. The bigger storms, you'd have some of it go into the plants and then you always have an overflow. There's always a storm that's too big for you to be able to handle. That's the same thing with your parking lot right now. That water eventually is sheeting to those two ditches, no matter what. That pipe may still get there to that ditch. We just don't know. We can't see it. Doesn't mean it isn't there. It doesn't mean that there isn't some kind of, there's some leaves and things like that in there too, so.
Yeah, and that's another thing I'd like to think about, do we need all that parking lot too, is that, can we?
When
Not
was the
make a
last-
drastic cut, but,
When was the last time we seen it? Parked
well, Don
entirely with cars.
said even with the people here for the birthday cake. That it still wasn't filled all the way out through there.
Yeah, I
so-
think it was just predominantly the two sections.
So there's things we can do if we wanna put a new parking lot, if Scott can look into the funding part of it, if there's grant money going that way. And if we can stay away from that other ditch other than an overflow, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And
for-
this project, especially with regards to the drainage, would that require collaboration with the village?
I think we'd have to let them know about it. I don't know if they're going to, I would do it to all engineering standards, so. Might still go to the village engineer as a courtesy, but I don't think they would have any issues with it.
I'm
Yeah,
just
we're
considering the
definitely
future
getting better.
project they have with an area in that
Yeah.
location.
But again, we'd be doing something better than what's there right now.
Mhm.
Right now, you just have water, for the most part, sheeting off
Right,
and then going to those ditches.
We're gonna try and retain our water.
right.
Well, that's an option. Again, it kind of depends. There's, when I looked out there with Mike, there's a suite of ideas, and you could also look at. Do you have to phase it? Because again, that one way over probably isn't as bad as, your main entrance there, that first entrance way is not good.
Yeah.
But even as you go, the first bay is really bad, the second bay is okay, and the third bay.
Yeah, the first one gets all traffic and
Yeah.
garbage trucks coming in and.
So again, there's a lot of options, so let me kind of think about. What might be some potential options, and then you guys can really have some time to look at it and kind of say. Yay or nay, or what you're thinking.
The only thing with those retention ponds, the bio ponds, you really gotta be careful maintaining them, right? You can't drive on it with them.
You can't drive on it. What I could do is do stuff so when we do it in the city of Buffalo. Which obviously has its own maintenance issues. We use ones that you can mow, like, you just basically, you mow it down to the nubs twice a year.
With what though? Can you go on with a mower or you gotta?
Well, you'd have to do that then in the summer. You couldn't do it.
No, because, well, the reason I've asked, cause MGA has them and they said you can't take any kind of heavy mower on them. They
You
want.
can't take a heavy, you'd have to take a push,
Yeah, okay.
or something like that, or just,
Not a 1950s push, I hope.
no.
No, the zero turns like like Mike, here's the diesel up there, right? The 1 0 turn.
Yeah.
They get pretty heavy.
Yeah, they get too heavy. So that's part of it too, is what do you guys wanna maintain? You may say,
Yeah.
we don't wanna maintain anything. So we want to, but.
So
they can
you and
look
Mike
quite
will still be
pretty.
talking about it,
Oh, absolutely.
and then you'll get something on paper and maybe shoot an email when that comes to fruition. These are some of the things we'd like you to look at.
Yeah.
And then we have a chance to think about it, then you can verbalize it.
Yep, so the main thing would be is if you wanna go after the grant, they usually get announced. Sometime in like the next month or two, and then are due at the end of July-ish.
Does that go through Wendell or our grant person?
It can be either way, the culvert grant I did with Dawn and with Colleen. There's been other ones that the grant writer does for us.
I think that'll be on our checklist. We'll move along then.
I got it.
Yeah, I figured the town hall parking, good. Number 5, grants, probably just mentioned grants, and they'll be looking into that for the parks. We're still waiting, well, they don't have a budget.
Yeah, and no response back from Gallivan lately, so.
CDBG, was there,
No update, no work from Paul D. Orlando.
reading between the lines, how does that seem to you? Mark's next, not, okay. List of community organization donations of about 9, I think,
Yeah,
Dawn passed it out in the email.
yeah, you guys had asked who we typically, well, first of all, you can see how much is actually budgeted. And then the list of the organizations that we typically give to. We have not set the amounts. You can see that all the amounts are zeros right now. So we haven't set the actual amounts that are gonna go to the different groups yet. But that is a list of who gets donations and what their typical last year donations were.
So that's on the to-do list.
Yeah, I figured,
Upcoming.
yeah, I figured we can talk about it next week and. go from
Sounds
there.
good.
Yeah.
At least we know about 2, 4, 6, 8 community organizations. That handles that one. Is there any need for an executive session? We've got a little bit of,
Well, I can go in executive session if you want, over contracts, contractual. I think we got
I went under contract as well.
Why don't we do that then, executive session, what, is that seven?
7:07, so move.
7:07, do we hear a second?
Second,
It's worth
Contracts,